So this is a full swing?
Yeah.
So like how I control distances, I want to know my stock number with every club. So your 54 goes 90 yards. So for me, it's about 10 yards per arm swing position. So if I know this goes 90 yards full, so this would be 9 o'clock or half swing. That somewhere in there is about 10 o'clock, right? Or 3/4 swing. And then somewhere in there, which you're right about there, is 11 o'clock, right? We never go to 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So there's your full swing, and you hit it right about 90 yards, right? So how do you normally, what do you think of, were you thinking like shorter arm swing on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one 80 yards, right? This is good, fun working with good players because they can actually do it. It's not like 90 and then like 60 and they get way off. So the one thing that's going to distort this is you close out the face, which means you probably de-lofted it, right? So you're going to get extra yardage out of that. If you would hit it with a square face like you did, let's see what your numbers were on this one. It didn't register, but it went straight. So a square face is going to use a loft effectively. You're going to use it like a 54 degree. You might have used that other one like a 46 degree because you de-lofted it. So if you would have hit it with a square face, it might have went 75. And that's what you got to pay attention to when you're trying to figure out your distances. This is 3/4 swing, right? So let's pay attention to your arm swing and see if it's any different. So it's just above your right shoulder, right? So you didn't do anything. You thought your feel just isn't in tune with reality, right? You thought you were taking a shorter swing, but what you probably did was change your tempo because it's the pacing of your golf swing and it's the length of your golf swing that creates the distance, right? So what you want to have is consistent pacing for every shot, but then use your arm swing length to control the distance. Does that make sense? And that's why I have the blast on. We can look at the numbers. But like, we'll just go on arm swing right now, and you just pay attention to your tempo. So if you go shorter, you're not gonna jump at it. That's what most people do. They'll go quicker or something. If you go shorter, you're just making the same pacing. So if my arm swing for you for 70 yards is half swing or 9 o'clock, it's like that. Then I'm going to 10 o'clock or 3/4, and then it's 12 o'clock, right? Or full, or 11 o'clock, sorry.
Do you practice with the metronome? You think it's good to do that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like it. For some reason, metronome, I start
He
thinking
doesn't
weird
like them. That's why I was saying they were good, but he doesn't really like doing
Yeah, I don't identify with it either. So,
Okay, all right,
okay, so now what I want to do is I want you to hit 3 just full ones. And I just want to see what your actual full shot number is with that club. Okay, so go ahead. So you're 89, 90, and 90. So you're 90 yards. You're pretty spot on. So now I want you to remember the arm swing. So take a couple practice swings. If this is your full 11 o'clock, your 10 o'clock should be probably just below the shoulder, right? So let's make some swings with the same tempo. Don't speed it up or slow it down. But let's try to visualize or feel that arm swing just going below the shoulder, okay? So it's still too long, right? So now take a practice swing going even shorter. Your feel isn't in tune with what's actually happening, right? So it's gonna be uncomfortable, it's gonna feel wrong until you do enough reps. So now try to do it again. And that's where blast is good because you can see, like, if he's like, oh, well, it's 3/4, but it still went 90. Well, this would tell us if you change your swing time numbers and your pacing got faster. Where tracker will give you total swing speed, but it won't tell you your swing time, backswing, downswing.
Yeah, that's how we got it. Originally, was to do the backswing on the putting, trying to get that.
Okay, so that was it right there. But it only went 74, right? So do you feel something different? So your solidness was pretty good, right? So we go to then if we look at your swing speed, so just all the stuff we know.
Oh, didn't
So, I mean, everything was pretty spot on. So let's hit, because this also could be 3 to 5 yards. You know, it has an algorithm. And that, if we're outside with brand new Pro V1s, then it'd be exact. But there's no perfect way to do it, unless you go to the course after everyone's done and go hit some shots and pick your ball marks or find your ball marks. Okay, so that swing slowed down,
Yeah.
right? So instead of being like 67, it was 63. So let's hit another one where you have that same speed.
So you're trying to keep your club head seat the same.
Well,
while you're
it's going to be
adjusting the
slightly
distance.
less from our per arm swing, 3 or 4 miles an hour, what I've seen. Okay. So it's 84, but you hit that one with a closed face, and so it was a really solid. So I would say your 3/4 swing is about 80, but that's why you got to be consistently monitoring it every day you play. And I can show you like a sheet where you can chart it when you find your ball marks. You know, when you get to the green, stuff like that. That, you know, it's from Oklahoma State that we use at Ohio State. To every day when they play, they would have to chart it and then plug it in. But you can use the Blast app to plug it in and get it automated, or do it while you play.
So there's not much difference between him doing 90 with a full swing at 84. That's not.
Well, he had a shut face, so if he had he had a square face and it was 90. He de-lofted it, shut the face, and at 84, so it'd be about 80 with the square face.
You got 80 with this one though.
Yeah, and so everything was pretty zeroed out, went pretty straight, right? And this is also saying it's plus or minus a couple yards too. So, but it should be, so if you got a 54, now do a half swing.
Sentinels, they like probably do their numbers every day because they're changing constantly. So
Well, you just try to get the averages, and the more data you have in there, you gotta take out the outliers and the ones that you pull a 7-iron and went 230 yards. Like, you know, that's not, you know, accurate because you de-lofted it and it ran out or whatever. So that was about 65. That would be an outlier, right? So so I'm going to show you how the general template, and then you find your numbers, but I'm guessing mine are like 10 to 12. Yours are probably 8 to 10 because we have different swing speeds, right? So if you're 90, 11 o'clock, or we say full, is 90 yards. Your 10 o'clock would be 80 yards. Your 9 o'clock would be 70 yards, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then under this, so you have a reference point there, right? Because you can change your arm, but you can't go to 7 or 8 o'clock, right? That's a pitch shot.
Yeah.
So what do you have to do for these, you know, 60, or let's say 60 and below? You got to rely on your feel and timing, right? Because you're probably going to take a 9 o'clock swing, but it's all tempo, feel, timing, which is practice. And
I think he should switch to his lob weights though when he gets to 60 yards and in.
Yes.
And it's over.
Yeah, because we're gonna see. So that was pretty a little close, okay. But then I'm guessing this is gonna be around 75, and so then your 3/4 is gonna be 65, and then your half is gonna be 55, right? So now 60 and below, you have now till there to have a reference point, right? And some of these are going to overlap. So when you're 70 yards, you could go chip 54, or you could go full with, or maybe choke up. Because choking up, for me, takes 3 to 5 yards. Maybe you 1 to 3. It's minor, but if you get it real, like those guys on tour, they're going to be very dialed in and specific. So choking up for an average, average man tour player is going to be about 3 to 5 yards. So that's how I fill in that gap to, in between here to 70 and in between here to 60, right? But I don't have to change my tempo or anything. But now, this is going to be 50. So now that if I choke up, So now I have, 50 and under 50, I just don't want to lay up there. Because unless I practice every day, and so what you can do, and like Phil Mickelson, he opens up the club face, but he can identify with his eyes degrees and angles, like, oh, that's 2 degrees open. Well, I don't know. Like, I can just say it's open kinda, or open a lot, like, But he's the best wedge player of all time, so I believe he can actually do that if he says that's what he does. But that's where you would use blast to do like a 9 o'clock swing, and say your back swing time is 0.65 on that half swing. Well then, maybe 0.62 is your 40-yard shot, and so it's just a slower pacing. Does that make sense? So does that all make sense? And why his 60 is worse than his 100? Because on a ball, when we do the full TrackMan combine, and it starts from 60, goes 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, most people get to that 80 number and they start doing a lot better, because that's where they have like a 3/4 lob wedge or something. So their 3/4 and full stock is always way more consistent than relying on the feel, because they don't practice it enough, and we're inside, you can't even see the target, so their feel is exposed, they don't have it. And so you got to practice it a ton, but 2, strategically, like tour players under pressure do not lay up to those distances. They lay up to their, like for me it'd be 90 yards, because that's my half swing 60 degree. And on all these combines I do, I try to do one once a week for the wedges, I get in the 90s every time. But then when I go to 60 and 70, that is terrible. I'm like in the 40s and 50s. So like I'm trying to improve that, but no matter how good I get at it, I know I'm always going to be better at 90. And I'm going to have confidence because I have a reference point, and when you're under pressure, your feel is even worse, right? So you don't want to rely on that 40-yard shot and your feel on that.
It probably explains why we've not played, holes, and he'll do better from farther back, like when you go to keys that are farther back, because
he's probably hitting more stock swings in rather than having to hit the off speed. But and the thing is, you can use that clock system with all clubs in your bag, because you're going to have in-betweeners out there all the time. And so like my 3/4 swing is kind of like my stock swing now, because I hit that all the time. But if I have to launch it up in the air to get it over, like to stop, because the bunker's front edge, then I'm gonna, like, when we're in this like 7, we're overlapping right here, that's when I'm gonna hit my full 60 versus my knockdown 54. But if the pin is back at 70 yards, I'm gonna hit my knockdown 54 to skip it back there. Does that make sense? But like this is just, for most people, if you can stay away from it, you want to. But you got to, because sometimes you just have to hit the shot, because we hit a bad shot, we were forced to go there, that was our only option, so you got to be able to hit that shot. But for you, 50 yards would be kind of your max, and then you need to do a lot, and that's where their blast video integrates with the sensors, so we can put we can film it and see his swing time and his arm swing at the same time. So you want to hit a couple shots like that with your 60, and then we can do those 30, 40-yard shots too, to kind of give you an idea of how you can practice it.
It sounds like we should he has 75-yard shot, we should always try and use his lob wedge.
Yeah, because he doesn't produce enough speed right now to zip it back. Like tour players, I never want to launch my 60 up in the air, because I'm not going to be able to control the spin. I'm a steep player with speed. It's going to zip back 20 feet, depending on the softness of the greens. So I'm going to try to, if I have my overlapping is like 110. So I'm going to chip my 54 versus launch my 60, because my 60 is going to land at 110 and it'll probably end up at 98. So unless the pin's front and I got 30 yards of green depth, I'm not going to fly it, then I can zip it back, but rarely do I do that. So we are going to do, let's just put it on the shot, because I'm going to put blast in the camera now. Let's do just like, so what I call this is like the ladder drill. So when you practice, whether you can go to the side of the range and put like head covers down every 10 yards, and then try to carry it, whatever, I put them in 10-yard increments, and I try to fly it in the middle. So you would go just you know, say you have a tile there, there, so then this is 50, in between is 55, this is 60, in between 65, this is 70, and then that's, or, you know, something like that, right? And then you just go up and down, so you never hit the same shot twice. So you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, you know, back down, up and down, do 3 sets. That's like 15, 20 shots.
These are on our simulator, right? We can just do that.
But I do it in here, because
Yeah, so
I mean, you got range balls, you got wind, you got, it's more accurate.